Well, thank you so much for joining us here on Sweet Home SEC. Clint, Switzer, Noah Gronniger joining you here. Why don't you pull up a chair, grab yourself a cup of sweet tea, and we're going to delve into the college football world, man, because it's been a crazy one and a crazy trip for us.
Yes.
Just returning from Baton Rouge, just returning from Death Valley, where we went to the Missouri LSU game last Saturday, and what an experience it was. You know, we're stadium crashers. We've done a documentary about all 14 stadiums. LSU's got to rank right up there, especially from what we saw on Saturday.
It does. Just unbelievable tailgating. Inviting you in, we weren't sure how they would accept us as Mizzou fans. They welcomed us in. We got some gumbo, some jambalaya, some spicy stuff. A little too spicy for me.
Yeah, you had to go back to where the burgers and hot dogs were.
That's just a Clint's alley there with the spicy food. So he was in hog heaven there. Saw Jarrett Sutton there.
Yeah,
Mizzou basketball player.
absolutely did. You dragged down my little brother Seth, who had not quite been involved in that kind of an atmosphere before. Yeah. We were meeting Cajun women, Mississippi Queen down there, and boy,
so a guy got hit by an SUV, got on the hood, rode it down until the cops stopped everybody.
Oh, it was crazy. That was just the tailgating. We didn't even. This is before we got inside the stadium, which was just a tremendous environment, and those people were fired up. That LSU team was fired up after Les Miles firing. Ned Orgeron orchestrated.
You think?
Well, geez, they orchestrated only the greatest offensive output in team history.
634 yards,
wow.
42-7 beatdown. I mean,
Missouri was never competitive in that game, and going in, I picked Missouri to win the game. I thought Missouri, and maybe that was just part of us driving 13 hours to go to the game, wanting to see a victory for the Tigers.
13 hours, they have to win this game.
Well, no, they didn't, and they sure. But just walking in that stadium, seeing from our vantage point, that end zone, looking down, it was almost like you get squeamish. As big as that was. God. And when the fans get in there and as loud as it was one of the best sports environments I've ever been in, maybe the best. I've never seen anything like it. And as our tradition of road games continue, it's going to be hard to top LSU and those people down there. We went up with our buddy Brandon Wright, his family, Kristen. Yes. Big thanks to Kristen.
Boudreaux.
Kristen Boudreaux, our LSU, our Mississippi Queen, our Cajun lady down there. She hooked us up, got us in there with those fans. Great time down there, but LSU, coming in now, Missouri's on a bye week. We're gonna see what Barry Odom has in store because Missouri. I wrote an article for our website, GreatAmericanSportsNetwork.com. Check it out where I talk about Missouri having one goal the rest of the season, and that's to make a bowl game. I think if they can attain that, sure, getting to Birmingham or some of these other terrible, locations is not the pinnacle of college football success. But for this program, it needs to get to a bowl game, and they got to get 4 wins left on the schedule. And when you got Kentucky, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Middle Tennessee, maybe you can get it. Maybe you can steal one.
There. You got to get those.
Well,
4.
maybe you can steal one. Arkansas, Florida coming up, but. Yeah, you'd be stealing one. Tennessee still. I mean, obviously.
More than stealing, right? If they play
exactly
like they did last week against LSU.
Well, LSU's got to go at Florida. They got to turn around and go to the Swamp after that. Can they get back up for a game after demolishing Missouri? Can they get back up? Because Florida's got a top 10 defense in the country.
I think that's
secondary's as good as any in the nation.
Tonight, right there, and Luke Del Rio returns a quarterback. How's he going to be coming off the injury? But I think that top 10 defense is LSU's kryptonite. I don't think they're going to be able to put enough points up on the board. Yeah, LSU did it against Mizzou, but Mizzou just couldn't get off blocks, taking bad angles, just kind of blown out from the word go. Huge holes out there for the LSU offensive line and running game. So I don't think they'll do the same thing against Florida. I like Florida.
I like LSU in this game, and let me tell you why. Florida's offense, I know we were in and out of tailgates during the day on Saturday, but I got a good chance to get a good glimpse of the Vanderbilt Florida game, a game that Florida could not pull away from Vanderbilt in. It was 13-6. Granted, that was without Luke Del Rio, and Austin Appleby does not look quite like a gunslinger out there at quarterback. But I don't think Florida's running game has really come along as they'd hoped. I like LSU to keep this momentum going. If Danny Etling can continue his hot streak, you saw what you got from the multitude of running backs that LSU used. Yeah. Not Leonard Fournette, and I'm not sure what his status is going to be. Geis was unbelievable.
Oh man.
And I'm not sure what you're going to get from Leonard Fournette from here on out. But you got Malachi Dupree at receiver.
He prepares for the NFL draft.
And Malachi Dupree at receiver right now coming on. Yeah. He had a great game against Missouri. Of course, everyone did. But I like LSU in that game. And here, joining us to talk about the LSU Tigers and much, much more, we have our good pal, Kansas City resident Eddie Kennision, former LSU Tiger. Eddie, welcome to the show, man. How's everything going? I know, it was a big game down at LSU this weekend. We wish we could have met up with you, man. How's everything going?
Oh, I appreciate it, guys. My world is fantastic, man. I woke up this morning feeling great, and everything else after that, man, it's gravy, brother. So life is fantastic.
Well, we were hoping we get a chance to catch up with you. We were down at LSU for the Mizzou LSU game this last weekend. It was our first trip down there. My gosh, you forgot to warn us about all that gumbo and all that great food, man. We had a super time, and we wish we could run into you down there.
Yeah, I know, and I was supposed to make it to that game, but I ended up having to do a charity event on Saturday here in Kansas City. But I did get an opportunity to see some highlights, brother, and I was very excited about what I saw.
Well, what do you? I mean, Les Miles is out just over a week ago, and enter Ed Ogeron, and this team, all they did was rack up the biggest yard total in school history against Missouri, a team that to the naked eye I thought was a better football team, but Missouri just got trounced. I mean, what do you make of this situation? Les Miles gets fired, Ed Ogeron's in there. I don't think he's going to get the job, but LSU, it's a top 5 job in America, if you ask me, and I think that there's only good things ahead.
Right. Well, my opinion with the Les Miles firing, I thought it was a little premature, especially at the time, in the season. But, I'm not there calling the shots. And, obviously they saw something or they needed to make, some moves pretty quickly, maybe to, get somebody that they really wanted. But Les Miles, he did everything he could to win at LSU over his 12 years, and I think his record was like 151 and 43 or something like that, some crazy win percent record. But it is what it is. When things don't turn out, especially this year like they wanted it to, they came in at number 5 and lost to Wisconsin, and then took a good old beating from Auburn, and I guess the boosters and the school, they were ready to move on, and we just, whoever they pick or whoever they get to be head coach, we just hope that this guy will be someone that will come in and continue the tradition in winning at LSU.
Are you throwing your name in the hat, Eddie, or are you next coach at LSU, Eddie Kennision?
Well, we all know that I could throw my name in a hat, but with zero experience at head coach, LSU, they would just throw my name out of the hat if I tried to put it in.
Well, going back to your career at LSU, just coming out, you were born in Lake Charles, Louisiana, raised there. Was there ever any thought to going somewhere else other than LSU? Who recruited you? What other schools were you looking at before you made the decision to stay at home?
Well, sure. Yeah, there was. I was being recruited by every major college in the nation, and I committed to Florida State the week before I went to visit, and when I took my visit to LSU the following week, I decommitted from Florida State and ended up at LSU because it was closer to home, better fit, and I like the campus a lot better than I did Florida State.
Well, and a great career you had. We were just looking at some of Dante Hall's old highlights, returning punts in Kansas City here, which we remember vividly. But before there was a human joystick, Eddie, there was you returning punts against the likes of Mississippi State and Michigan State. Some of those punt returns looked just like Dante Hall that game against Denver. My God, you were reversing field, catching it at the 1-yard line, which you're not supposed to do, but you were taking it to the house. What a great career you had at LSU. What had to be just a great experience.
Yeah, Dante Hall was, the best I'd ever seen, as a specialist, as a punt returner, kick returner, and I got the opportunity to grace the field with him and be his teammate. But I did it in high school. I did it in college. I did it my first couple years in the National Football League. But then, it's a young man's game, and young guys come in and they're a lot faster and they're quicker, and they. So that was kind of the deal. I had fun doing it, and it was a joy to be a punt returner, kick returner, man. I absolutely loved it.
Well, what were you hearing kind of going into the draft? You run a 4.28 at your pro day. You're also in the draft with Keyshawn Johnson, Terry Glenn. What were you hearing there before you did get picked 18th overall by the St. Louis Rams?
Yeah, we weren't hearing anything. They keep it secret from everybody, even the guys that are in the draft. And you really don't know anything until, your phone rings and they say, hey, we're getting ready to pick you. So, it was just one of those deals where, the draft was going and I was in it, and I had my fingers crossed and praying, man, that I would get picked by somebody. And thank God, St. Louis came along, first round, 18th pick, and brought me in, brother. And that started off my career.
Because we're so glad to have you a part of the community. You do so much wonderful charity work, and I want to get to that before we let you go, of course. Because, guys, I want you, if you guys check it out, it is the wine run, and it's the Kansas City Wine Gala, and it's teaming up with the American Breast Cancer Foundation. And apparently, while we were on the phone just before we started, we found out the venue has changed. It's going to be at the Riverfront Park and Grand Boulevard in Kansas City. Eddie, what can you tell us here about the Kansas City Wine Gala and this 5K run coming up here on Saturday?
Yeah, so we're teaming up with the American Breast Cancer Foundation. A portion of the sales from the wine tasting and the wine run will go to the ABCF, and it's just one of those deals where we're trying to bring awareness about breast cancer and get people to understand how important it is for everyone to check their breasts, men and women. And it's just, another platform that we can use to say, hey, this is some information, raise a few dollars to continue to support, these foundations to try to find a cure and help people understand, what's going on and looking for different symptoms of breast cancer and, just making people aware. And on top of that, we get to exercise and we get to drink a little wine when we're done. So it just kind of all works together. You get exercise, you get knowledge, you get wine. What more fun can you have in one night, man? And we're going to have a live band playing that night, so it's going to be pretty fun. Yeah,
should be nice weather for this event here on Saturday, and Barefoot Wine is sponsoring this thing. KC winegala.com. That's KCWINEGALA.com is where you can go and get signed up still. I assume you can still get signed up for this thing and get involved, correct?
Absolutely. And you gave the website, KCWinegala.com, and they can go and get all the information they need, get signed up, for the big run and tasting this Saturday. And I look forward to, seeing everyone there. Make sure that you come by, my table where I'm going to have wine and say hello and let me know that you're there and you heard it on your show. And, it'll be great to know that your listeners, they get signed up and come out and support such a great cause. Absolutely, and that's what it's all about, Eddie. I tell you what, man, we cannot thank you enough for joining us. I tell you what, we got to make this happen one of these days. You got to take us back down to Baton Rouge because we didn't get the full experience, without you there. Because the fans were great. We had our black and gold Mizzou stuff on. They invited us in for some gumbo and jambalaya, which was unbelievable. We got to make it happen with you again someday, man. Take you back to the bayou, buddy. That is fantastic. Yeah, man, we definitely have to do it. I try to make it down to Baton Rouge once or twice a year, and I hadn't been able to make it at all this year yet. But I think I'm gonna go to the Alabama game. I think it's November 4th or November 5th. I think I'm gonna make that game. Well, that'll be crazy. Those fans were nicer to us as Missouri fans. I don't think they're going to be quite as inviting to the people wearing crimson. So. Well, we're pretty friendly, it's just that kickoff, we turn to tigers, and then afterwards we love on you and we'll feed you again. Absolutely. Eddie, I'll tell you what, cannot thank you enough for joining us. Best of luck, KCWinegala.com. Guys, everyone go get signed up for the 5K on Saturday. Eddie, thanks so much for joining us, man. Let's catch up again in the future, and best of luck. We'll definitely be in touch, man. Thanks, Noah. I definitely appreciate it, man, and best of luck to your show as well. Thanks a lot, man. We appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Big thanks to Eddie Kennision for dropping by to talk about his former alma mater, LSU, his great times there. He was a great player, both at LSU and for the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're going to be talking with him about his career in Kansas City on our Not For Long Pro Football Show, which comes up. Make sure you head over there for that as well. Great American Sports Network. It has all of our shows archived. Great American Sports Network, that is our main governing body. So, as we move on from that, I think to me, a defining game here in the SEC West is going to be Alabama at Arkansas coming up this Saturday.
Yeah.
Now, Alabama's coming in. Jalen Hurts, starting true freshman quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. He's already got almost 1,000 yards passing, 7 touchdowns, but just 1 interception. And I like what you got from Calvin Ridley. Great playmaker there at receiver. And the running back by committee because you got Damian Harris, Joshua Jacobs kind of splitting carries for the Crimson Tide. And, of course, that defense. Alabama's going to Arkansas, upstart team. Roll Tide, roll. They're going to hog country. They're going to call the hogs themselves. You can call the hogs off.
Woo! Pig suey!
You got Arkansas in this game? Is that what you're telling me?
No.
I thought I had something to combat you with.
No, I mean Austin Allen. He's a tough competitor out there at quarterback. He was getting beat around when they played Texas A&M, but he's never seen an animal like Alabama, the number 1 team in the country. There's just too much firepower on offense and defense. The Hogs, I mean, they're cardiac kids. They love those late comebacks, those heroic moments, but it's just too much for them. Roll Tide, roll.
I like to see Arkansas stay with them for a little bit and maybe make this maybe a 31-14 type game. Maybe Alabama pulls away late. But I'll tell you what, to talk about that, we have another huge guest on. And, guys, we're so pleased. This show's loaded, man. And we have a great guest coming up. It's Brodie Croyle, former Alabama Crimson Tide quarterback, former Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, and he had a really good career at Alabama his senior year. He set the school record for passing yards in a season with over almost 2,500. So I'll tell you what, Brodie, go ahead and welcome you to the show, man. How's everything going down in Alabama? It's so great to hear from you. How are you? And, how's life been going?
Man, everything's going good. Just down here in Alabama taking care of some kiddos. How about y'all?
Hey, that doesn't sound too bad at all, man. I know you've been, really busy, and I want to get into this first before we get into some of your career accolades. I want to get into this Big Oak Ranch that you've been doing, this Christian ranch for kids. I think this is just wonderful. The more I read about it, the more interviews I've watched. You and your dad, I know, are very heavily involved in this. Just kind of get into what you guys do and how people can get a hold of you to maybe for donations, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, to make a long story short, when my dad was 19, he went and worked at a summer camp, and he met a little boy from the streets of New Orleans whose mother was a prostitute. And this boy was the banker and the timekeeper for his mother, and literally ran her business and go knock on the door. Mom, I got the money, the next one's here. And he ran her business. My dad shared with him how he could become a Christian, how he could change his life, and the boy came back the following summer and shared with my dad word for word what he had taught him the summer before. And at that point in time, he realized that he had been given a gift. And he went on, he played at Alabama, was All-American in Alabama, and he went to Coach Bryant after his senior year, and he had a chance to go play in the NFL, and he told Coach Bryant, I want to take the money from pro football and start a home for boys. And he said, don't play pro ball unless you're willing to marry it. He said, tell me more about this ranch you're talking about. My dad got to sit there for an hour and share with Coach Bryant this dream, this vision that God had placed on his life. And he walked out of that meeting and never looked back, and since that time, that was 43 years ago, and since that time we've had over 2,000 children that have called Big Oak home. And what we do is we got a boys ranch and we got a girls ranch, and we put a godly man and woman in each home. We got 10 homes at each ranch, and we give them 6 to 8 boys at the boys ranch or 6 to 8 girls at the girls ranch, and we say, show them what family's supposed to look like. Show them what a mom and dad's supposed to look like, that the life that they came from doesn't have to be where they're going. And we take care of 150 kids on a daily basis, and so that's what we get to do, man.
Well, Brodie, you're all set to be a Florida State Seminole down there in Tallahassee, but at the last second, right before you were going to make your decision, you switched to Alabama. Was it just too good to stay at home? Your father played there and be a Crimson Tide.
Well, at that point in time, it wasn't Alabama wasn't quite the pick that it is now. It wasn't quite as glamorous of a place to go. But my dad had played there. My sister was homecoming queen and played basketball there, and I'd always dreamed of playing there. But on paper, it didn't make the most sense. So I was going to go to Florida State. And the night before I was going to make my commitment, the last person that was in my door was a guy named Bobby Bowden. And we're sitting there, we're having dinner, and, man, he's just got my mom wrapped around his finger, and I'm a huge fan of his anyway. And I tell you, a little sidebar, a little funny story, but I saw him a couple years ago, and I just walked up and said, Coach Bowden, you might not remember me. He goes, Brodie Croyle, how you doing? He says, your mama still make that lasagna that she used to make? We had lasagna that night when I was 17 years old. He still remembers it to this day. But that's obviously what made him him, and made so many people like him. But I'm sitting there, we're having that lasagna, and I say, Coach, you've asked a bunch of questions, and I was like, I got one question for you. If I go to Florida State, are you going to be there the whole time? And, he was starting to get older, and you were starting to hear that rumor. And he said something that was very influential in my life. He said, Brody, let me tell you this. He said, you don't go to a university because of a head coach. He said, head coaches come and go. He said, you go to a university because it's something you believe in and something you want your name tied to. He said it as a sales pitch for Florida State, but it really resonated with me that, you know what, Alabama's where I've dreamed I was going to go my whole life. And little did I know that his words were prophetic, because I was one of those fortunate few that was recruited by Dubos, played for Fran, practiced for Price, and finished with Shula. Coaches.
Oh well, yeah. What a career you had. I mean, you battled injuries earlier in your career. You had the knee injury, but you were able to come out and you had a very strong senior season. I broke the Alabama single season record with 2,499 passing yards in 2005. So I mean, by the time you were a senior, you really solidified yourself. Obviously, had a very strong arm. Pro scouts obviously looking at you. You were drafted in the third round by the Chiefs, but to have that, you talk about Alabama wasn't quite what it was. Well, in your senior year, you guys went 10-2, won the Cotton Bowl, defeated Texas Tech. I mean, that was kind of a transitional period to get Alabama back to where it was, even though Nick Saban wasn't even thought of there yet. He was still at LSU, but that was a great senior year, and what a way to send yourself into the NFL, man. That you had to be proud of what you accomplished there and breaking the Alabama season single record.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
We couldn't have been more proud of winning the Cotton Bowl and going 10-2 and being ranked in the top 10. That just about gets you fired now, though. Man, it was that time where we were on probation 2 out of the 4 years that I was there, and we're very proud of our time there. It wasn't great. It wasn't what it is today. But those guys that I played with and those guys that were in my recruiting class, we went because we all had pride in the University of Alabama, and we went because it was the Crimson Tide, and it was something that we had dreamed of our whole lives, and to be able to finish the way we finished, something that we'll all always treasure.
Well, and I want to ask you this. You talk about all the great work you're doing now, but how big is football as a part of your life now? I know that Alabama is at the top of the mountain, the premier college football program in the nation. There you are, still living in Alabama, an Alabama alum. How big of a part of Alabama is still in you to this day? Because I know Nick Saban has taken this team to unbelievable heights, and big game against Arkansas this weekend. We've been talking about that. Roll Tide roll. I think that the Alabama, this may be another undefeated national championship for the Crimson Tide. I know that you wouldn't be too upset about that.
No, just immense pride, just to see what Coach Saban has done and what him and his staff have done at the University of Alabama is just something that we all take great pride in. And obviously I'm still a huge fan and still cheer from them, but it typically is not going to be from the stadium. There's something about sitting behind that TV and being able to watch it and being able to go outside and play. And I got 2 little boys, and then we live at the boys' ranch, so there's another 70 boys that we can go play and have our own football game. And it's a lot of fun to keep up with it, but at the end of the day, man, it's somebody else's turn. And I'm going to be their biggest cheerleader, but it's going to be from either my couch or my yard.
Well, Brodie, I tell you what, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming on talking with us. Just what a perspective, and I hope everybody, and guys, they do, here at the Big Oak Ranch, we want to send everyone there. It's bigoak.org. You can make a donation. I mean, you can do something as simple as just saying a prayer for these kids that are in this situation. There's donations. The link's available. Brodie, we just want to make sure we can support everything you guys are doing, because some of the stories you just told us, literally, just tear-jerking. I just can't respect what you guys are doing enough. We hope people come and help, and that's the website, bigoak.org, right? That's how they can get a hold of you.
Well, thank you. And anybody, if y'all ever make it your way down to Alabama, stop by and see us. Appreciate y'all having me on, and y'all have a good one.
Hey, absolutely. Roll Tide and go Chiefs, and we'll talk to you soon, Brodie. We appreciate it.
Sounds good. Y'all take care.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks
a lot, Brodie Croyle, for joining us.
Yes.
And, just him talking about the ranch, the Big Oak Ranch that they operate down in Alabama. Tears to my eyes, when he's telling these stories, guys. It's unbelievable. And, just huge praise to what he and his family are doing.
Yeah, no matter what he did in his career at Alabama and Kansas City, football takes a backseat to that story, and just how proud we are of him and his family and what they're doing down there. like you said, this isn't happening in third world countries. This is happening right here, 12 miles down the road from him in Alabama. So
definitely, I want you to get on the website and make a donation, guys.
Yes.
It's very important that they keep those kids, because they're literally, raising them as their kids, and they, they need food, they need clothing, their shelter,
they need to show them
all those
what
things.
a father and mother figure
More
look
importantly,
like, and family, and
So moving on from that, as we head out to the rest of the weekend, the SEC is taking center stage here. As it
usually does.
As it usually does here at Sweet Home SEC. But what we saw from a non-SEC schools, especially in the ACC, when we saw watching on my smartphone as we were trying to drive away from Baton Rouge, the Clemson Louisville game, and you got to feel for Louisville. They made a valiant comeback. They were down 28-10 at halftime.
Come on, James, quick, get that first down. What are you doing?
I was going to ask you about that because to me it looked like when we were half asleep driving while I was, and you were already asleep. Eyes barely, but James Quick looked like, the final drive of the game as Lamar Jackson leading Louisville to what could have been an unbelievable last-minute victory. And on a swing pass, and Quick just doesn't get the first down. He could have cut it upfield, maybe taken on the defender, maybe tried to run the defender over. He doesn't do it.
Inside, something, he just kind of did a pirouette out of bounds.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't third down. This isn't just some preseason spring game or something. Come on.
Clemson, shoe in for the playoff now. Deshaun Watson. And
you have to think so, yeah. I mean,
Louisville outside chance to get in.
I mean, this is a close game.
Agree.
I mean, Lamar Jackson still front runner for the Heisman in my mind.
I agree with you there.
Loss, and they're still in it for the Final Four to make the playoff. I mean, they've got everything right in front of them. You can't knock Louisville for losing this game, especially as close as they were with James Quick.
Problem is, they're not going to be able to most likely get to the ACC championship game to have another signature win. So they're going to have to win out and obviously hope for some help. But, the game of the week in the SEC to me, and this comes off the heels of Tennessee, another unbelievable, unfathomable come from behind.
10 seconds left. Georgia scores with 10 seconds left to take the lead. They kick the ball off after getting
I picked the Dogs.
I couldn't believe it.
I picked the Dogs in that game.
But I thought you had it. There's no chance. And a miracle Hail Mary. How did Georgia doesn't defend that in the end zone? They're all standing behind
6
the
defenders
receiver.
there. But Tennessee's been doing this all year. They could be 1-4 on the season, but here they are 5-0 and a chance to really make some noise. They're the front runners in the East, but they got to go on the road. Their schedule's going to tighten up. They got 2 straight games. They got to go at Texas A&M, top 10 team.
Yeah.
Then they're going to get home against Alabama. There's some chances here for the Vols to get a couple losses, and I think it starts here. Because let me give you this. Tennessee's going on the road to face Texas A&M. Trevor Knight's playing underrated football right now for the Aggies. Over 1,200 yards passing, and Josh Reynolds, his top target, 400 yards receiving so far for the Aggies. You got to love what they're doing. And on defense especially, A&M's improvements have become most on the defensive side.
Miles Garrett.
Is he going to be the number 1 player in the draft come May?
Maybe. I mean, he's going to be up there, 1 or 2. I mean, he's got to be. He's dynamic.
Well, because of him, they lead the SEC in tackles for loss with 50 on the season.
Tennessee's struggles on that offensive line. They're just going to eat up that offensive line all day. Tennessee's, I mean, we talk about Arkansas and their miracles. Tennessee is known for their miracles this season and comebacks and not showing up in the first half and be able to come back and win late in these games. That's not happening. Texas A&M's going to eat them up all day.
So gig 'em. Basically is what you're saying.
Yes. That's
Gig 'em
exactly
Aggies.
what I'm saying.
Hey, I think right now Kevin Sumlin should be up for SEC Coach of the Year for what he's done with those Texas A&M Aggies. They're flying under the radar. If they win this game against Tennessee, it could be smooth sailing. It could be a showdown with them in Alabama to determine who wins the SEC West. But, guys, I want to thank our guests, Brodie Croyle, Eddie Kennision, for joining us. 2 former Chiefs, by the way.
Yes.
And we got both of them coming up.
SEC ties, no problem with that.
Hey, we like to finagle things in our favor here on the Sweet Home SEC show
we
here.
did it this week.
And we got 2 wonderful guests, and we want to keep it up for you guys. GreatAmericanSportsNetwork.com. That's where all of our articles, our shows are all archived. Check us out there. Of course, hit us up on Twitter at GASN Sports.
If you want to hear Brodie Croyle, Eddie Kennision, you want to hear their sides on their NFL careers, go over to Not For Long this week. Check out those shows out. They'll be talking about their NFL escapades.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Noah, thanks a lot. It's been great to be here talking some SEC football. And as Missouri enjoys their bye week, I'm going to enjoy it too because I don't know how much more Missouri I can take for a while.
Yeah, I think everyone needed a week off that's affiliated with the University of Missouri in their football program.
It
comes at a perfect time.
Me included. Hey, guys, thanks so much for joining us here on Sweet Home SEC. Hope you enjoyed that cup of sweet tea because mine's empty. We'll see you next week.